Hello, it's Victoria. It's my first video in English, so I'm a bit nervous. What I want to talk about today is death of fantasy self and grieving, basically. Grieving related to this. The thing is, I was diagnosed with autism about a year ago, and then a half year later with ADHD. And I realized that I haven't done grieving, and it's not particularly surprising because I don't like really going through emotions. It just, the intensity is too much, and I do all I can to avoid it, or I cope it in other ways. But recently I just realized I need to at least tap into it a little bit and allow myself to process it. So I decided that, well, if I turn on a video, turn on a camera, and just create a space and time for myself to think about it, kind of organize my thoughts, that will help me also to, live through it a little bit and reduce the amount of all of that is inside me and pressuring on me. So if you are you don't if you are relate in any way or find this familiar, this feeling of, your fantasy self dying, the idea of this perfect, shiny, successful, happy future you, that won't happen. Either it's your own choice, or either it's just you realizing something about yourself that basically does not make you suitable with this idea of this future you. And it's painful, and I guess you need to, grieve it. You don't have to be diagnosed or anything like that, because it's more like a human experience. But of course, when it comes to late diagnosis, and you basically your whole identity, your whole understanding of yourself is changed, and sometimes kind of forcefully. Sometimes you're not ready for it. Then it's painful. Well, so that's 3 minutes introduction. Please stay with me and grab a beverage or something like this. So you're welcome to just put on your headphones and do something and listen it on the background. I do it all the time. This is more like me trying to process these things, these emotions, in the way how I can do it, but I'm not very good in processing emotions. Living through emotions, it's not natural for me. It's kind of learned, and the way I do it, and I name it and analyze it and organize it into some sort of systems first, and then it's kind of easier for me to process. So by the way, this is not scripted, probably won't be edited unless I will be watching it later, and no, I'm not going to release it like that, but I hope I will. I'm trying to be authentic and show how it is. And this is, I'm not particularly planned or structured, but I'm the type of person who tries to structure and explain things for myself. So I will be approaching it from that perspective. So, like, Death of Fantasy Self, it's definitely not something new for me, not something unfamiliar. And I'm betting, like, if you are, honestly, maybe you don't have to even be grown up. You probably experienced this to some extent, and it's like either you, I don't know, leave school and you need to like get accustomed and get ready with the idea that to abandon the idea that you are a student, and then now you becoming someone else, or you can have a certain profession or a hobby that, I don't know, doesn't work out, doesn't excite you as much as you thought it would, and you end up abandoning it, but it's also related with shame and guilt and just hurt. This is a complex feeling, right? So I definitely went through this to some extent before. I both hobbies, professions. I feel like it's not that common anymore, but it's still pretty common to like identify yourself with the work you are doing, like your job, your profession. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a business analyst, I don't know, whatever it is. Or if it's not that, then I'm a mom, I'm autistic. Whatever it is, there are some words, some idea behind them that describes you, that you believe is true about yourself, right? And when life challenges it, yeah, it could be hard. When I was thinking about like what I would say and in general about this topic, I was thinking about like a couple of the situations when I experienced this death of fantasy self. I used to like I'm pretty musical. I like singing. I used to sing a lot in school, and I'm thinking singing sometimes just at home now. And but I felt like my family, my sister in particular, and like many people around me, you could also play some sort of musical instrument. And I wanted to like also know how to play basically any musical instrument, to be able to create a accompaniment, like music on the background I could sing along with. So I could be like the full show, if you will. Like you can imagine these people who, I don't know, play guitar or piano and sing alone, and it's basically the full performance. You don't need anything else sometimes. So I wanted that. I had this idea, and also it was kind of like seemed easy enough, but I was not, I don't know, it didn't happen that my parents put me into music school when I was a kid. I was, I don't know, I was in a pretty stressed, high, competitive school, and I basically didn't have any time for music school. So that's that, and I never learned a musical instrument. And when I was grown up, I felt like, okay, I don't need parents. I can like learn something, and I was approaching it from what is the easiest. I think it's a bit too much, like the whole situation about this. I don't need to explain all the things. So I bought ukulele because while I thought it's pretty easy instrument, it's easy to learn to, it's cute, I like how it sounds, how it looks, and while if I learn playing ukulele, I would be able to sing along. Well, this ukulele was in my closet for 2 years. I touched this like twice maybe. And it was even the time when there was YouTube and you could learn, I don't know, with someone like online. So I could learn it, but it was so boring for me. And it was so not, I don't know, not rewarding. I couldn't learn anything fast enough, so I would feel a motivation and I could continue. So I just abandoned it, and it was sitting in my closet for 2 years, basically just a reminder of a shame, like how I'm incompetent and stupid and I don't know, lazy I am, all that things. And then honestly it was somewhat relief when I finally realized I faced that you know, I will never be as someone who plays ukulele. And I just sold it, and it was hard, but it also was relieving. But yeah, at that moment, like a fantasy self of me playing, performing with ukulele basically died. And it was that sort of experience happened multiple times. I changed different professions. You know, I was used to be wary, like in relationships I tend to like what is the word, like merge with another person. I was somewhat losing my personality. So when we had a breakup, it was also like part of me dying. And then I moved to another country, and the sort of like part of my identity also dying. And I'm not sure if I actually still went through it and could, if I processed it, I'm not sure. And now I have this diagnosis, ADHD. And it's been, yeah, a while. I feel like I accepted it to some extent. I'm trying to change my environment. I try to allow myself some behaviors that I didn't know even that I needed, like stimming, like I don't know, swinging and moving around. I didn't know. I was masking for so long that I also don't. I basically don't. I didn't know I needed this. I didn't know this is part of me. But like also it's very relieving, it's very helpful. I don't know, for the lack of a better word, insight, understanding about myself, that I have these and these qualities, or like my brain works differently, and I have so many, like everything like fit into place. I could look back into my on my life, on past experiences, and it explains so much. But also, like, I will never be normal. You know, I don't know what is normal. I couldn't really, you know, define it. But I will never be that person. Okay. Yeah, I'm not that comfortable, um, being so emotional in general, especially like sharing it with other people, but I will try. This is like my coping strategy. One of them is avoiding, and I'm trying to battle it right now by recording this video. So this is like I put myself into a position that I need to think about it and feel the feels. um, at least to the extent that I'm capable. Another like big I don't know like approach mechanism I have is basically through logic. So I suppress my emotions and rather like look on and things very rationally, to the point that there was a time I used to be the person who thought that I'm not really emotional, I don't kind of have emotions, or like I have very little of them, I'm not getting very emotional, I'm very rational, I'm very logical, etc., etc. Now, looking back, I understand it's just a way of coping because emotions were just too much. I was not ready to face them, and no, I was not ready to share these emotions with someone. I was not trusting that people would accept me being so emotional. So, like a kind of natural extension of it, you start to like lose touch with your emotions, with your body, and not notice your emotions, and don't know how to name it. Basically, it's also pretty common among autistic folks, alexithymia. I'm better with that now because through years of therapy and pretty good therapists who could, wow, explain me emotions and also teach me how to understand my emotions based on the feelings in my body, etc., etc. But it is not natural for me. It's something learned, and the more stressed I am, the like fewer chances that I will be able to name what is going on inside me. And obviously, it's not really helping with going through grieving and processing it. You need to live through the emotions. You cannot bury them. You cannot abandon them. I mean, you can abandon them. It's not, they're not disappearing. That's the thing. That's the problem. They get accumulated in your body and then turn into diseases and that kind of stuff. So I don't want this, really. I don't recommend. But at the same time, like living, like feeling the emotions is so painful, so overwhelming that you just, I don't know, it's too hard, it's too scary to. But at least like just small steps, just little pieces, just. And of course, like getting comments like you are overthinking while you're too emotional, it's not worth it, etc., etc. You're too sensitive. This is not helping, right? Probably, I assume a big chunk of you over there would agree. Wow, so grieving of the and a death of a fantasy self. What unites these different fantasy selves? Yeah, probably you have, or like during your life you have had multiple. I definitely had multiple. What it combines, it's an idea. This is not something real, tangible. I mean, it's real. It's real enough that it influences your life, but I don't know, it exists in your mind basically only, and maybe in some tokens, some things you acquire, hoping that your fantasy self will be using it, right? Like, I don't know, gym clothes or books you never read, or ukulele that is sitting in your closet, that kind of things. Otherwise, it's just an idea. And sometimes you part with this idea, involuntarily, right? Yeah, just leaving the school or getting fired, or I don't know, yeah, leaving relationships, maybe getting diagnosis if you were not looking for it, I don't know. And sometimes these things are pretty much your choice, but it's still painful, right? So you understand that this job doesn't work for you. It just doesn't. It, like, the effort you put in is way more than the, like, what the outcome you receive, and that kind of things. But in any case, that's the idea. So okay, I used to think that I'm weird, lazy, stupid. Some, like, something is wrong with me, but like I'm broken normal. And honestly, sometimes I still think that, but okay. I'm dealing with it. I'm working through this. And now you have a chance, when this idea proves to be wrong, you have like a proof that no, your brain is working differently, so naturally you would react differently. Naturally, you would be motivated by different things. You would see things that other people don't see, or feel things that other people do not feel in the same way. And it doesn't make you broken, it makes you different, right? So it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing to like replace this actually pretty destructive idea of yourself into something, well, more helpful, more something that could work for you better, and healthy. I don't know, more healthy. But why does it? Why it's hard? Why it's so hard? Well, before you get this, before you actually get to believe into this new idea of yourself, what would you need? I think, well, to believe in it. It's not like just facts allow you to switch your mind. It usually doesn't work like that. I mean, it definitely helps if you have effects.
A few moments later.
Well, I ran out of space on my phone, so continuing where I stopped. So it was a question. What was the question? How you accept, how you reconcile, like, with the idea that your fantasy self is dead. And honestly, like, what helps me, and sort of what I realized like a bit earlier, to some extent, that again it's just an idea, it's never fully you. There are some words that you tell to yourself, or maybe others tell you, and how you describe yourself. But this is not full truth, it's not the whole you. So it's not something that, yeah, it doesn't explain the whole you anyways. So maybe it is not correct, and if it doesn't serve you anymore, then yeah, maybe it's just better to leave it. At least, like, logically, right, you can get to this conclusion. That's what happened with me before, when I realized that my hobby or profession or relationships or anything doesn't work for me anymore. But also, like, I am not the person who could feel okay in these relationships, doing this work, that kind of things. So, but with the diagnosis like autism or ADHD, or that kind of things, especially if it's late diagnosed, you've been living whole your life, and now your perception of yourself is, it's like that. It's not just a part of you. Hobbies, like, whatever, but this is the whole you, the whole personality. Sometimes, or well, oftentimes, and this whole thing is just getting revamped. I don't know, redone, and it's tough. But yeah, I guess it does help me to think that I'm not. As I actually haven't changed, before getting the diagnosis and after. It's still the same me. It's still the same brain. It just, I name things differently. So, what does it? I mean, it's not hurt to name things in a more pleasant way. I don't know if it's more beneficial for me. Why not? That's one thing. But another thing, I think it's more hard, but something that actually it helps. At least for me, I realize that, we still need something. We still need some idea about ourselves. We egotistical creatures. So you need to explain things to yourself, right? And basically, what helps me is to create another fantasy self. Maybe this time the version that I can potentially become in the future, because it's closer to me. It's closer to what I actually am. And I don't think I will be able ever to tell exactly who I am or what I am. Even though it's it would be nice. But just to have some descriptions that are, more flattering. At least typically, as neurodivergent folks, we typically have a lower self-esteem, right? So it doesn't hurt really to get it a little bit better, to improve it a little bit, and to replace a negative self-talk into positive self-talk. So why not? Let's try. And also maybe do it like step by step, one small thing at a time. And it's basically like together, goes hand in hand with unmasking, and allowing yourself to be you. Again, who knows what is you? I don't know what is me. I don't know how unmasked I am right now, or even in my best moments when I'm alone, in my best mood, etc., etc. How unmasked I am, I still don't know. I'm figuring this out, but okay. That's fine, I guess. That's a journey. So at least I'm trying to be kind to myself and to be caring, and and now that the hard parts, it's not only just self-talk. Then it comes to finding this place in the world that you fit in without cutting edges. That you don't need to redo yourself to be okay, to be accepted. And this is a tough part. It's actually harder than change the self-talk. But I'm also hopeful. At least I have a rather positive experience, even like way before being diagnosed. I have an experience of figuring out something about myself and changing the circumstances into a bit more fitting to what I think I am. And it's sort of a never-ending process. You keep on learning something new about yourself, and also you keep on changing, and that's just part of it. But it's good to have hope to that maybe a little, like piece by piece, step by step, you can improve your life by accepting yourself more, by building the environment that's more suitable for you, by stop relationships that doesn't work, and create a place for something new that actually works for you. I think this is another thing about abandoning your fantasy self, realizing it's actually cannot live anymore. It frees some space for something better. So I guess I'll keep it at that. It helped me to go through this process. It doesn't mean that I'm done grieving. I don't think so. I mean, it's we'll see. again, it's the tough part is to adapt the circumstances and your place in the world, find your place. I haven't fully found it yet. What I can do to be true to myself, to help society, and also like be able to feed myself and that kind of thing. And that's still a question for me. And maybe, honestly, this is like the hardest part to grieve about. Like, I won't be that person that strives in, I don't know, employment, corporate job, or something like this. But I also don't know if I could be self-employed. And I don't have any. I mean, I have many special interests, etc. But I don't see anything that I could actually earn from. And also, my hobbies, my interests change so often that I never get to learn it deep enough to be able to, I don't know, sell my services, that kind of thing. But that's another topic, maybe for next time. If you are still here, thank you for listening, and I hope it was helpful. If it was, or in general, if you find this interesting or thought-provoking or anything like that, please put a thumbs up. I will be happy. YouTube will be happy that this video may show up to someone who may need this as well, who may like this video can support someone. You're not alone. Well, if you write down in the comment, I will also feel that I'm not alone. That would be nice. Okay, that was a long one. I'm not someone who can be concise. Also, please be kind. I mean, English is not my first language. I don't want to think how many mistakes I made. It was impromptu, it was not scripted, at least outside of my head. So, yeah. All right. Thanks. See ya in the next one. Bye bye.